All right, welcome to the unknown. And sometimes I don't really have a fear of the unknown, but I follow your lead, man, and Chingo Bling, producer Rob G TV. We're talking off mic about starting something new, rebranding. Obviously, we've had this "What Did He Said" feed for the longest, so it sounds like you're trying to persuade me to start like the Chingo Bling podcast, which kind of has a ring to it. I don't know, but I'll let you take it from there, bro.
It does have a ring to it. The only problem with it, man, is that like iTunes will like put the little asterisks on your name, and then you can't search it, and it becomes a whole thing. So you can put it in the description if you want to kind of finesse the podcast algorithm, but it's hard to put it in the title.
So can people search for my name at all?
They can't. It'll come up. It just won't show it. So if they type in Chingo Bling on Apple, it'll come up, but it'll just be like CH and then like asterisk. Yeah.
So I wonder what my alias like when it comes to these type of situations. Man,
Is it Theohuvit? Does it have to be?
No. Like there was something that I think I've thought about this for a minute one time, and I was like, is it like C Bling? You know what I mean? Something to where it's like you work around that part because it really has become a headache. Like when I did the thing for the NFL, I don't know if you remember that story, but go ahead and tee me up, bro. Like go ahead and pitch me and persuade us.
So, man, we've known each other almost 10 years. Like, I think the first, dude, it's crazy. So the first time Chingo and I got together to do anything, whether it was like promotions for a show or podcast related or audio, video, whatever, anything media related, was I think the tail end of 2018. So we're creeping up on 10. I mean, I know we're in 2025, but like,
yeah, you rounded up. You rounded up like a motherfucker.
That's my math. That's old country bumpkin math right there. But it's been a long time. It feels a lot longer considering we went through like the big hurricanes. We've gone through a pandemic. We've gone through all kinds of stuff, like navigating all those waters. But I was telling Chingo, like some of the cool entertainers that I follow from like other industries, wrestling, music even or whatever, they have gotten into podcasting, and they always have kind of like somebody that helped them come up with the idea for like, hey, let's talk about old road stories. Hey, let's talk about old whatever. And then they sprinkle in obviously the current event stuff or just any kind of hot take that the person wants to talk about, whether it's like The Undertaker or whether it's people in other industries. And it's super fascinating to the fans of that person because outside of like watching them or listening to them for what they enjoy, it's like an extra insight, on their way to work or while they're working out or whatever, doing chores around the house. So that's kind of how What Did He Said originally started, was old stories like that about, I forgot most of them because you had so many stories, and you were just talking about the NFL one, which it kind of rung a bell, but I don't remember the story. And a lot of fans, new or old, just would love to hear some of that stuff. It'd be really entertaining. So I kind of wanted to pitch to Chingo, like, if we came up with a new name, which funny enough, I almost said game because as I was kind of drafting it out, it was like generational game was what came to mind. But like, there's been a lot of other shows that kind of had a play on words with like generation or like, a game or whatever. So I don't know what the name might be if Chingo decides, or it could just be the Chingo Bling Hour, right? Or whatever it is, but that's kind of the premise.
Oh, can you you were telling me a whole bunch of other stuff. That's why I was like, man, go ahead and press record. But
Sure.
Like for example, you were saying like think Brilliant Idiots meets with something or other.
Yeah, brilliant. So I was using AI to come up with some ideas of like drafting up like, because people can go like the complete it's a podcast still, but I know some people that kind of do like complete characters on it. I think even what's his name, Will Ferrell did it for a long time with the Ron Burgundy character. Or you could just kind of be yourself in 2025, and then like you have this huge track record of historical stories and events that you could always go back and like recount, either with a guest or with your producer or by yourself. And The Undertaker is a really good example of it because he started a show because one of his buddies that was like a business buddy just said, hey, Mark, man, it'd be a good idea if you started a podcast. And The Undertaker's kind of like he's from Texas. He's still out here in the Austin area, I believe. But he's a really kind of like to himself. He's kind of quiet. He's not very like, at least he's not known to be very verbose or like charismatic almost off of the WWE camera. But he starts this podcast, dude, and it just blows up. Maven is another character from the WWE world that, has become that. And it's just like, let's tell stories. Let's have a good time. Now the boys in the man cave kind of thing. And then it just snowballed into big guests. And then I think the WWE actually like acquired the Undertaker show, kind of like it has Stone Cold's and a couple of other ones. So it's pretty cool.
And there was something else. I think you were saying it could be an opportunity as I go out on tour, Tacoma, Portland, Austin, all these places I'm going in September, that it could be a way to mention it. And all right, so Chingo Bling's on stage. He's doing his stand-up. how do you pitch that? Like, how do you entice people and say, hey, when you get a chance? Because as it is, comedians are always saying, follow me on social media. We're already asking a lot. Stop by the merch booth, say hello, tag me in the photo, and it's like, hey, motherfucker.
Well, I think a good way to tag it at the very end, which I don't know who was. There was somebody that was really good about doing this. Actually, y'all were for a long time. There was a lot of times where in the middle of the show, somebody might come out, or where y'all were switching, comedians, mentioning the merch or mentioning the show or a URL or whatever. But I think just saying like, hey, especially for you, if you keep up with when you keep up with doing this show as you're on the road, if you want to keep up with stories from the road, if you want to keep up with what's going on in between shows, if you want to find out where I'm coming next the fastest, tune into boom. And then at this point, dude, compared to like 7, 8, 9, even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, a lot of people were still kind of like podcast, but like within the last, half a decade, everyone listens to some show. Like every major like sports network has a podcast, every subsidiary.
Even Mexicans have caught on, right? Always the last. Like, podcast. What is that? Hey, what are you trying to be Joe Rogan or what? Fool, hey, you're a sellout, dog.
Straight up. Dude, even my dad was like, hey, so what's with this Tucker podcast? You ever heard Tucker's podcast? And I was like, actually, yes. Knowing damn well I've been podcasting for like 15 years in one way or another, my dad's like, so what's up with this podcast stuff? And I just look at him, I'm like, are you serious?
It's like, I've been trying to tell you this, dude. Hey, so how about this? Issue you a challenge. I know you already got a lot of work on your plate. And you tell me if you don't want to have to do this shit, but can you have something designed that's like a flyer, like 4x6 or however standard flyers? Yeah. And then on the other side, I'll just have like just a headshot where I can like autograph, right? That way people want to hang on to it. Ooh, so if it's only 4x6 and if I'm only taking a stack, it's not gonna weigh down my luggage, right? So right. I can easily take a couple stacks, especially if I'm doing like a whole weekend.
Yeah.
So one side could be like, tune in to the new podcast, however you envision it.
Yeah.
Like a graphic, a logo, and maybe even a QR code that can simplify like, oh, it takes me and it gives me options, Spotify, Apple, whatever.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm gonna write these notes.
Because
to do it.
I mean, because I literally just did 12 military bases. You know what I mean? Like, that could have been an opportunity. Like, hey, we miss you back home. We know you guys are, let's stay connected. We drop one of these every week or what have you.
Yeah, because like a 4x6. Oh, it could be the first thing that came to mind too, because you're obviously very, very deep into the jiu-jitsu world now. Is like when the fighters are doing the poster signings before, like they're doing the countdown show, like leading up to a big fight, and you just see them around a table, just like signing, talking to the camera, and they're just like things that they're gonna pass out to the fans or whatever. And also, oh man, who was it? This is a really like inside baseball story if people weren't listening to podcasts, over a decade ago. But like Kevin Hart was really, really the one that I remember coining that idea of getting everybody's emails at comedy shows. I think it was in Philly. He used to tell a story way back in the day where he would leave something at the tables. He would make sure that while he was on stage, he mentioned, hey, fill out that thing on the table. We're going to take your information. We're only going to send you, information about shows and this, that, and the other. And yeah, man, that was forever ago. That was when I used to listen to comedy specials on Pandora, just radio.
Okay, Pandora. Oh, so you heard a comedy special of his, and he's saying that on the comedy special?
He was saying that on a podcast about the special that I used to listen to on Pandora. One of the early, whatever the Kevin Hart special was.
I've heard him tell a story that he took notes from Dane Cook, because Dane Cook, obviously a lot of people now, like, it's, people have opinions about Dane Cook where it's like, damn, he was on fire, but listening to his old stuff, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it doesn't hit the same or something, like the BK Lounge, or maybe he's trying the same delivery and it's not hitting in this day and age. But a big angle that he was just being like the king of MySpace.
Yep.
And just, I forget if he did emails as well, but basically in a time where not everybody knew how to tap in with the fans and stay connected, he was figuring it out.
Yeah, and at that very same time that Dane Cook was figuring it out, we've talked about this on past episodes as well, the music side of it. I like John Mayer as an artist. He did that with Napster. So Napster and MySpace, he uploaded stuff to Napster. Through MySpace, it would get out there like, hey, went to this local show, in whatever attic, tiny little club or whatever. And then through Napster, which a lot of people, Napster's a dirty word if you're in the music industry, I understand. But yeah, he kind of took the same approach as Dane Cook and kind of just put it out there on MySpace. And what's his name? The guy that was who was the main guy? Tom. Tom just did the rest. He kind of just put it out there to the MySpace world.
Oh yeah, Tom. Yeah. You know what, dude? LimeWire and FrostWire and Kazaa and all those type of websites. That's really what helped me get known. And also that was the birth of some of the confusion where I get the blame for some of these parodies that are out there. But it was during that that era. It really gave me an edge because I didn't have any connections or any like backing. You know what I mean? Like while everybody was cutting corners and playing dirty, and what I mean by that is some of these people were getting their exposure via payola, like illegally, having a connect to where you're signed to some dude and that dude's paying off the radio station or the program director or you're signed to some label. They have a budget and they're hiring these like independent radio promoters, which is like more payola for the most part. Or you sign into Charles Chavez or one of these people, you know what I mean? No offense to anybody who did business with him. But it was like, I'm not going that route. Like, thankfully, it was literally like business to business, straight to consumer. Like the fans were downloading stuff, and it was like a word of mouth, underground type of thing. To it was like, man, it was like if you know, yeah. If you know, like, man, it's Chingo Bling guy.
So the first time I remember hearing anything Chingo Bling related, I was probably 2004, 5. I want to say something like that. Like I think I was a freshman, maybe sophomore. It could have been sooner, but I feel like I was a freshman or sophomore in high school. So when you say that those are the days where you kind of got the blame for some of these parodies, there, like I think I know what you're talking about, but what are you talking about? Just because I might not be clear.
Okay, well, there's a few songs from this one dude named ODM from Lighter Shade of Brown. He did one. I'm in love with your sister. She's making tamale or whatever, right? And a lot of people like those songs, and that's fine. That could be your sense of humor. But as an artist, it's like, that is not me. Like, I don't paint with that palette. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the layman, it might look like, oh yeah, it's Mexican parody. That's you, dude. It says it on the thing. He also did let's see, I'm in love with your sister. Paletero, man. Paletero. Cling, right. Cling.
Everybody
again, a lot of people like that song. Some people think it's me, but as an artist, I don't want the blame. You know what I mean? Like that, I would not have done it that way. That's not my voice. I don't write like that. The way he pronounces certain words, horchata, something, horchata. And it, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, bro, that's cool if you would just claim it, but he don't want to claim it. So now it puts the burden on me to have to clear up the air and try to clarify.
Yeah, dude. The funny stuff about all this is that somehow in the blink of an eye, and snap of a finger, it's been 20 years, right, since that time, since that.
At least,
right, LimeWire. Of course, but also building up to, like, how long do you think you built up until the things on the Kazaa LimeWire started taking off? Like, how many years were you already kind of working underground?
I mean, I might have released, like, I was already doing like a couple raps and a couple freestyles on a couple mixtapes, maybe like 01, but I think like 2002 is when it was more like, okay, this is strictly a mixtape that's all Chingo Bling's raps, like a little compilation. If I'm not mistaken, Duro en la Pintura, I consider like my first Chingo Bling mixtape, and I'm not 100% sure that dropped in 03, 02. But I mean, I was fresh out of college, and you know what's interesting, bro? I made this point to my wife this morning. I forget what we were talking about, but the point I made is I'm proud of myself that as an artist, I'm willing to create and release, create, upload, create, put it out over and over and over and over again. Like, not be so precious about anything. Like, try not to overthink every single post. Just know that you have to, like, even if it's not perfect, even there's a part in there that like, man, it's that album really wasn't 100% how I ultimately know it could have been. That song, I just felt like it still needed. I should have got that guitar player to come in. I should have recorded that second verse over, or I should have rewritten that first verse, or I'm not 100% happy with the hook, or the format of the song. I'm just not 100% happy. Instead of being that OCD about it, create, release it, launch it, upload it over and over and over and over again for years, where some people account is on private. You know what I mean? Private account, 0 post. Again, like if you're in this business, you have to post, right? And this is going back to social media, but like some people are like, yeah, I just don't, you know what I mean? And it's like, I get it. I think it's fake too. I hate it too. Like, I don't want people in my business. Like, it's annoying. You think I want to be documenting every goddamn thing? Like, as long as I've been doing it, like you're just setting yourself up to get criticized.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. You're setting yourself up for somebody to call you a sellout, somebody call you a coconut, somebody call you something, somebody zoom in on something in the background. Meanwhile, you go to their page, 0 posts, private, won't upload, 0 followers, and or even like other entertainers that'll make excuses and be like, yeah, I don't know, man. Y'all getting too in the weeds with the shit. You know what I mean? Like, what? 3 times a day? Oh my God. Wait, you're scheduling the post? Like, wait, you're posting on multiple platforms? You know, and it's like, hey, bro, my kids eat. You know what I mean? I gotta play promoter. It is what it is. You know, I didn't sign to these people. I ain't got these people backing me. I don't have this, and that. I have to find where my leverage is. Like, right. Where is my leverage? And yeah, so it's like a totally different philosophy, but I'm just giving myself props that like never let the OCD kick in to the point where it's like I'm just gonna like talk my way into excuses to justify like, yeah, I just think social media is fake, dog, and yeah, I don't really mess with it like that, and that's why I don't be uploading, and it's like I don't have a choice, dog. I'm gonna be in Tacoma, Washington, September 5th and 6th, and if I don't get butts in those seats or people didn't know, as it is, I was banned from Facebook for a month. Can't figure out how to run ads on my shit's all out of whack. So it's like, it is what it is, bro.
You know, that's so funny because that purist mentality from a lot of people I've seen over the years, over the decades at this point, is what's kept them from like achieving even a little bit of, we'll call it quote unquote success. Like a purist, I'll just use the automotive space. Like I do another show, which I can talk about later as this kind of builds up. But like I know people in a particular space, we'll call it automotive, entrepreneurship, whatever, and they decide I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to play the post, on every platform or post multiple times on every platform. And all that did was completely silo them from what could have been an audience or what could have been their opportunity to distribute whatever it is they were trying to distribute. And it's a bummer, but like some people will not leave that purist mentality and say, okay, this is the game. I'm going to play the game, to the best of my ability or kind of learn it as I go. But to completely ignore it, that's wild.
Yeah, and I just feel like some artists, they get caught up in the perfectionist excuses, too precious about certain things. Yes. And it's like, I just come from that era where like, you got to stay in the studio, you got to stay recording, you have to stay releasing stuff. Like you drop a mixtape, you're already thinking about the next mixtape. You know what I mean? You drop a rap, okay, you're only as good as your next song. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just the art class in me and just like art teachers, you know what I mean? Like just the perspective of like, you got to set it free. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be 100% happy with every single thing. But yeah, you're totally right, man. People shoot themselves in the foot, and maybe somebody could hear this and just kind of like stop overthinking some of that. And it's like, I don't want to be a social media whore. You know what I mean? Like, you think I like being a social media whore? No, I don't like being a social media whore. Like, it's annoying. I wish I could just go about my life and mind my business and just totally cut off the world. And it's like, y'all already don't agree with me about a lot of shit. A lot of y'all think I'm crazy anyway. So it's like, live your little life. Like, for example, it was funny. We were meeting some of the F-16 pilots, like on one of the bases. And I was like, okay, how far does this go? How fast does it go? Like, how long until you got to refuel and how many miles out, what have you? And I'm like, okay, so as you're flying, do you have to calibrate in your equations? Like at one point, if you're going fast in one direction over the earth, at what point do you have to calibrate like it's spinning.
Curvature,
Yeah, curvature. It's spinning and all this stuff. And I felt like asking them like, "Have you seen the ice wall?" Nah, but
Did they
anyway,
look you sideways like, sir?
no, they were basically like, yeah, no, I don't have to factor in curvature, you know. But anyway, that's just some random shit. Since I brought up people thinking I'm crazy about stuff, because I want proof that it's round and it's spinning, right? It's like, okay, so I'm looking for proof. It's like, what proof are you giving me? It's like India went to the moon. It's like, and they give you a CGI image. It's like, okay, that's not good proof. Okay, ignore India going to the moon. Give me more. And it's like, Katy Perry went really high up. Okay, obviously they didn't go to space. Okay, give me some more. Give me proof. Like, I want some proof that it's spinning around the sun and what have you. And it's like, okay, well, we went to the moon once. It's like, okay, why haven't we gone back? You know, like, has anything gone past the firmament? And my wife this morning, she's like, I wish in the Bible it said something about it, like a description of the earth, or it's just something that says it's round, what have you. And I was like, well, in the Bible it does say he created the waters like beneath and above, meaning what is space, right? And then it specifically talks about the firmament in the Bible, right? In the creation, you know, in Genesis or what have you. So it's like, I want proof, but like even Elon Musk posted, I think it was video of like one of his payload drop-offs, like really high up. And it's like, he's like, this is actual video. And you look at the thing, it has a curvature. And I said, nice fisheye lens, bro. And then you go into the comments and people ask Grok, does this have a fisheye lens? They're like, yes. So basically you uploaded real footage, but give it to us raw and tell us, as you could see, you really can't see curvature. It doesn't mean it's not round. It's just, even though we're way, way, way up, and even though we're at this angle, it's going to deceive you. You're not going to see curvature, but it is round. Like, just give it to me raw. Like, I'm looking for proof.
This is the kind of generational game that you can expect from this podcast with Chingo. We're going to talk about old road stories. We're going to talk about the firmament. We're going to talk about what the Bible may or may not say. We're going to talk about a bunch of entertaining stories. But yes, see. And then also, as this kind of goes on, I want to be able to pull up stuff that's kind of viral in the moment to kind of have you give your take on it. Because what you used to see in the early days of MySpace, and even the early days of Facebook for that matter, to what we're seeing now on the current state of those platforms, TikTok, you know, if you guys are on there or wherever, it could be a little bit of everything people talking about. And it's crazy because they always put that music behind it, that like eerie kind of music, and they're talking about the firmament or the ice wall. Yeah. Like you were one of the first people I heard that articulated that really well, where you can edit things to give obviously a certain emotion, but the way that you word it, I don't know if it comes to mind to you, but you were really good about dissecting the way something is cut, the way the music's put to it, or whatever.
Yeah, you have to be careful with documentaries, right? Yeah. Because they're very persuasive in the way they're edited. So yeah, there's some good ones out there. Just keep in mind, as you're being entertained, just keep in mind, like, all right, let's factor in what this music is making me feel, because there's another thing. We've been homeschooling, right? So speaking of music, we've been homeschooling, and I guess the Bible study portion of the day that Marisol was doing with Penny, it had like an interactive computer thing where it had to do with music, and it said like God was the first to create music, and then Marisol is like, huh? Like, how? What? Like, explain that. And then the next part of the project or whatever was these different sounds that the kid can click on and play with to create like a little pattern or what have you. And it was like nature sounds. So it's like, oh, okay, the bird chirping, the water in the creek, and like just nature stuff. It's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying, right? Like, you know, if you subscribe to the idea that, you know, God truly did create the earth and the universe, and technically you could look at that as music. And as we're having our coffee this morning, Marisol and I, we're just outside talking about these things because we were talking about the military trip I just did and how the main gentleman, Patrick DeGear, was talking to my wife about some business stuff. And he mentioned, he's like, you know what? Chingo's very smart. He's very well read. And even though he might say like outlandish stuff, he's like, it still kind of sounds somewhat believable because he kind of gives reasons. And I feel like I still kind of got to look into it, you know, because I was telling my wife, I was like, think about it. Like our ancestors, just people from back in the day, when they didn't have all these space instruments or whatever NASA used to have Nixon answer a landline, be like, oh, I'm on the phone. They're on the moon right now. Because that was part of the charade, right? That motherfucker answered the landline. So I'm telling my wife, I was like, think about it. They would look up to the sky and they would map and they would clock things and be like, okay, that star every day goes like this. And okay, that's a little dipper. Okay, that's the big dipper. So it could be an illusion that they're going around us. That could be like a mind trick of like, no, actually we're spinning at 60,000 miles and we're also simultaneously spinning while rotating in this heliocentric model, meaning we revolve around the sun. And I was like, so for the longest, like there's people, they're probably dead now, but on one of the documentaries I saw, the lady was like 100 years old, and she I think she was from like Oklahoma, and she was talking about how she was taught as a little girl. Like there was no mention of any globe. This is like not that long ago, but a long time ago. So it was like I don't know, at this point she might be dead, right? Maybe like 115 years old. But as she was as a girl, they taught it differently. And at one point, maybe the Rockefellers who took over our textbooks and our educational system, who said, and I quote, I don't need a nation of thinkers. I need a nation of workers. They started all of a sudden, if you look into it, at what point in like motion pictures did they start introducing this idea of this globe, like Universal Pictures of showing the plane going around it? It all kind of happened at once for whatever reason. But yeah, I was telling my wife that I was like, yeah, it's interesting. A lot of shit is interesting to think about. Like when I was talking to the F-16 pilots, I was like, what year model was this? They're like, oh, this is from the 60s. So I'm like, so we're still, I mean, it's the Ferrari of the sky. It's a badass sports car. Like, I mean, if you're into, I'm not into like mechanics and like you would have nerded out because you actually know about cars and like engines and combustion and oil, like you like getting your hands dirty,
right up Tim Allen style.
Yeah, so these dudes, the crew that worked on the F-16s, like these fools got the greasy hands, like they're like mechanics to these sports cars, and I'm like, wow, it's from this technology is from the 60s. Obviously, you got like F-35s, F-22s, and like a lot of improvements, but it's like, so if I'm China, and if I create this little drone, you know, I don't know how much this little drone can cost me. And if I make a swarm of drones, right? Okay, well, how much does that cost? Let's say each drone costs me $3,500. And let's say I have 1,000 drones. Well, okay, what is that? 3.5 million or whatever type of little math, all right? If I could control a swarm of drones, you actually have a human pilot in that thing. Like, can I just swarm you and just like, okay, you could shoot some of them, but while you're trying to shoot the swarm, some of them have attached to your wing. Some have shot into your engine tailpipe thing. Some are swarming your vision or fucking up your instruments, making you waste bullets. And I'm like, so if you spent how many millions on that one F-16, where's the asymmetrical advantage? Or let's say you have $1 billion aircraft carrier with 4,000 sailors on it. Like, this is where my mind goes, right? You have $1 billion aircraft carrier. How much does that one missile cost that can possibly, you know, blow it up? $1 million? So if all I got to do is spend $1 million to blow up your billion, it's like big bank take little bank.
Dog, the whole time you're talking, I'm like, this is fascinating. This is exactly what I knew Chingo would get into. If you just kind of open the bottle a little bit, you know, the genie's out of the bottle.
Let him go.
I think for this 4x6 that we talked about earlier,
yeah.
I think you could. It's almost like a get to know me, right? So it'll be a nice headshot in the front, right? A nice headshot.
Yeah.
You'll be able to sign it. People take it with it. They want to keep it. And then on the back, it'll have a link to the podcast, to your website, but also things I'm into or like what I'm watching and reading right now, and just links to all your favorite books, movies, and then you can get the people to pay you. Like, hey, I like your documentary. You want to have it on the back of all of my postcards that I'm going to sign and give to my fans. You can pay for an advertising spot on the back of this 4x6, and then sell it to them that way. Books, movies, whatever. This is what I was thinking.
Well, first we got to get people to tune into us, bro.
That won't be a problem.
That's probably gonna be a part of the real estate to that flyer. But anyway, I don't know how I got on that subject, but I somehow I think we were talking about uploading and releasing music or something.
We were. Well, dude, professional, full circle OCD over here. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that because what was the last like full album you released? Was it Versace Mariachi?
It might be. Yeah, it might be.
Right? That was
it might be.
Winter of 2020, I think it was.
Perhaps. And I'm trying to get this greatest hits done, but like I'm all over the place, and I really probably just need some artwork and like a small budget for some of the musical stuff that needs to happen. I'll make sure to let my wife know that. And then I have a project dropping like in September with my boy Any Means. A lot of the singles are out. Jamming. Y'all got to look into that. Check it out. We've shot a few videos, so some of the stuff is online. Any Means, ANNIMEANZ, and Chingo Bling. I think we're calling the project Chingo Means, like kind of like mixing our names.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I didn't like it at first. I was like, Chingo Means? I was like, it sounds like an incomplete sentence. Like, okay, well, what does Chingo mean? You know,
you got to tune in to find out. When you listen to the music, you'll find out.
But the music's really cool, man, because he's not only is he a good like producer, rapper, like writer, but on the production side, like he has a vision and he's able to bring stuff out of me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like the way he was guiding the conversation in terms of like what beats to sample and what type of vibe, and a lot of these songs we recorded in Cali, so you're just inspired by different stuff. So now I'm referencing different things in my rap, you know, and the beat might have a little bit more of a Cali swag, and you know what I mean. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I was driving the other day. I had a bunch of places to go, put a couple 100 miles in one day, and I just randomly, I use Spotify mostly for my music. I know a lot of people like Apple Music and there's other Amazon, whatever, but I still use Spotify. I like it. And every year, they give you like that year's like wind or wrap up of what songs you listened to that year. And I just happened to, for whatever reason, stumble on my 2019 wrap up list because I guess I saved it maybe that year and it kind of pops up from time to time. And I have a ton of Chingo Bling songs from that year that I listen to on a regular. So it made me think because, like anything from Menudo to like Monster Freestyle or Bookies or whatever. And then I thought about, when going back to the OCD thing, when you put these songs out, do you just say, like, have you always just thought, it's done, I'm going to put it out, and then on to the next one? Or was there a point in time where you did want to kind of be that perfectionist we were talking about earlier, where you didn't want to put it out, but you did anyway, begrudgingly kind of thing?
Wait, you're asking, was anything ever released begrudgingly?
Yeah, like you just said, if it's done, you like putting it out there. But were there ever any of these older songs and albums where you're like, it's not quite done?
All of them. All of them. Yeah, all of them. Literally.
Okay.
Yeah. So none of not. I mean, obviously they're good enough to release, right? Of course. It's not one of those like, I hate it. Why am I putting this out? It's not like that. But I mean, none of them are like, this is perfection. It's always like, man, I hate my voice, or like, man, that someone's gonna say that rap was elementary. You know what I mean? They're gonna think this verse is way too basic and simple, but I sat and had to find an angle, and to me, that's what this beat was calling for. Like, I had to make it very ABC. Like, there's a new collab that they just released a music video to. He's actually incarcerated right now. He's from Kansas City, Annie Mafio, and it was his idea to sample Los Tucanes. Ooh. And when he sent the beat, I was like, okay, so is this a work in progress? Like, where's the rap part? Like, I'm looking for the hi-hats, the kick, there's not a clap, like a snare. I'm like, how the hell do I rap on this thing, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, is he still gonna get with a producer to like like flip it, chop it up, make it like a sample because it sounds kind of like a loop. I was like, wait, is he keeping the original hook? Like, and so of course I'm just like, all right, let's just challenge ourselves to see what we could do. And I had to figure out the flow and the structure of how I was gonna do it. And then I thought to myself, okay, this is like a party song. Like, let's not overthink it. And it's like a party song. Y'all got to check it out. It's called La Madrugada, Annie Mafio featuring Chingo Bling. And I did my little part how I thought it needed to go, right? And of course, I think Food Community uploaded it. And of course, right, because Raza's gonna Raza, and they want to uninvite you from the carne asada. Of course, all the comments on the Food Community page are all just like Trumper, trash, MAGA. This fool was making fun of Mexicans all these years, and now he wants our money. Like, same typical recycled narrative. Like, this is some ABC elementary basic ass rap. So you would understand why an artist might get jaded and it feels like you got your hand burned on the stove from the feedback. Obviously, I don't put too much weight on it because my wife's texting me. Of course I'm recording. I told you I was recording. Yes, of course. Remember, that was the plan.
You feel like you got your hand burned, right, Jay?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't read into it. I don't read into it too much because I know that these people are their brain is broken over MSNBC and politics and Donald Trump, right? Orange man bad. So their brain is just fried. And I can't be too mad at these closed-minded people with zero post, private. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even see what their wife looks like. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even see what they look like. You can't see nothing. And it's like, okay, well, I chose to do my rap like that because I had to figure out, where is this song going to be played? Like, who's going to play it? Like, this is something they could possibly play like at a house party, a quinceañera, like maybe a wedding. Like, honestly, DJs, if you play like Mexican type gatherings, this is the perfect song to put in your playlist because you could play it back to back with the original Los Tucanes. You could play it back to back. Like, from a DJ standpoint, I'm like, yo, Mafio was a genius that he didn't stray too much from the original. Because now I'm like, man, if I was still DJing, it'd be like Secret Weapon. Now you could get, like, you got the tias and everybody dancing. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? The original Tucanes, and then you go jigga 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 boom, dropping our version. Next thing you know, you got the youngsters like hearing us rap on it, and it's like, yo, Shazam that! Like, what is that?
I'm looking at, as you're talking, I'm looking it up. So it's out now, right?
Yeah. It should be. You should be able to. Like I said, Homeboy's locked up, so his team is doing their best, making sure like the P's and the Q's and crossing the T's, dotting the I's. So it's on my Instagram if you want to hear a sneak preview. You know what I'm saying?
I was trying to look it up real quick on Spotify on the fly, but all right, I'll definitely look it up, and then we'll. That's what I want to do too, is be able to play some music on a show like this where you're going to be talking about your stuff and other stuff. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, man, is just YouTube. Once this goes up on YouTube,
you start getting dinged. Yeah. So don't worry about it. Y'all can look that up on y'all's own. But I don't even know why I brought up this story. Because you were saying, do you ever upload music and
your old catalog of stuff? Was it ever like not ready, but you put it out anyway?
I literally, some of the stuff I go back and just cringe. You know what I'm saying? Where because you put yourself in that mindset of like, oh, I was still really trying to figure out my voice. I was still trying to learn my identity, my voice, not the literal my voice, but as a writer, as a performer, my voice. Like, where do I fit in? Meanwhile, people, you know what I mean? It's like you're trying to fit in because it's like, I'm not Baby Bash. I'm sure as hell not SPM. You know what I mean? And and you have different regions. For example, you're from Houston. You have these different influences. Okay, what kind of beats can you fit on? Do all your beats have to be like this, or are you getting too pigeonholed? So, especially for somebody like me, where I feel like my style is very experimental, off the wall, like hard to put in a box. And that's like the story of my life, bro, where like you sign to a label, they don't know what to do with you. You know what I mean? You're on a lineup. It's almost like, well, he's a Latino comedian, but he's not like, he's not an Alfred Robles. You know what I mean? He's not this. He's not a that. You know, he's not this person. He's not that. He's not concrete. He's not this. It's almost like, oh, he's based out of Texas. You know, shouldn't he move to L.A.? You know what I mean? It's like, Texas? What's happening in Texas? There's nothing coming. There's no connections in Texas. Or he's done a couple movies. Shouldn't he move to somewhere else? And it's like
Hollywood.
Or I mean, these days it's like Atlanta. I mean, I don't even know.
So, having been around so long, AI, comes up with its definitions of certain people. So when I was kind of drafting up the idea for this new show, it's like Chingo Bling, Texas Chicano Mexican American comedian, and kind of rambles off some ideas or whatever. Do any of those titles ever just kind of like bother you, or it's kind of like whatever? The internet's just kind of come up with whatever definition it can for me because of what I've done in the past.
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head, where it's kind of like, I'm a human being. I'm a living, breathing organism, and people, like, I'm not even the same person I was last week.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I can't get mad at AI for trying to take data points and synergize an answer. I'm not mad at AI for that, but it's like, I feel like humans, like human to human, people need to not like give each other like more grace or what have you, but like people need to keep in mind that we're not the same people we were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, opinions evolve, your approach to certain things evolve. Like, like I wasn't looking for proof that we're spinning at 60,000 miles, on an axis around, but I'm waiting for the proof. The burden of proof is on somebody. I guess NASA was created by who? Nazi scientists and Walt Disney. Oh, what's the guy's name? You might want to ask ChatGPT. Who's the Nazi scientist that created NASA?
Oh my God!
That we got to give our tax dollars to.
How do we not know? I know the name, and
it's Welter, Hembra.
Man, what is it?
Braun.
It's Warner, right?
Werner Braunvich or something. Okay.
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun. Yeah, man. And you know what? That's a whole other rabbit hole, bro. Like, first of all,
so many layers.
Like we were talking yesterday about like the civil rights movement and homeschooling and how we're going to educate our kids and how your kids are possibly getting indoctrinated and what you possibly could be protecting your kids from by keeping them out of the traditional public school system. And no offense to, I went to public school and all kind of schools. I mean, they brainwashed me in private school. I got brainwashed in college. So just the whole thing is interesting. But like the civil rights movement, the condition of Black America prior to the civil rights movement. I'm not talking about slavery. I'm talking about post-slavery, prior to the civil rights movement. How many like Black-owned banks, entrepreneurs, self-reliance, independent, success, marriage rates, just the family structure, everything about Black society prior to the civil rights movement, when Marxists and many of the Jewish faith were involved, right? And got involved with the civil rights movement. And just by, I'm just saying, that's just, these are just some of the statistics.
Pointing it out.
I'm not calling out all Jewish people, but basically what they utilized and how they went about it and what was the result. And it makes you look at things like, oh, did y'all do some of this stuff on purpose? Like divide America. Like I think we had mentioned yesterday, the practice of like Rosa Parks, right? The practice of sitting Black people in the back had already gotten phased out. That wasn't even a thing anymore. She had a car and some Marxists from New York, they got in cahoots and they're like, we're going to make a whole PR press thing for whatever reason, right? Y'all can look into that part, but it makes you, my whole point is, why do y'all keep teaching us a certain version and you're not it's like case closed. you're not allowed to look into any of the math, and you're not allowed to connect any of the dots about any of it. Like when people get to talking about the Holocaust, I know that's one that you might be like, hold on, dog. We want to keep this show on air, which lets you know how much of a taboo. And it's like, hey, bro, case closed, 6 million. You know what I'm saying? And it starts getting real controversial, and people start getting real tight when you start saying, okay, well, let's look into the math. And it's like, no, man, don't look into the math. It's like, bro, there's shoes. You didn't see that there's shoes. There was a pile of shoes. And then when you tell people, okay, so your best proof is shoes. So if I could just put some shoes, and that's like, just as a respect as someone with a brain, it's like, when you want proof, like, show me how we're round and we're spinning. You know what I mean? Because, like, break it down to me. Well, it's because we know. How do we know? Show me anything. Is there an image? Do we have technology to show me the image? It's like, well, I mean, we have to use CGI because, you know, we have to. And it's like, show me a real image of it being round.
I don't know how much proof. I don't know what it'll take to actually like solidify any of these things, which is what's fun about it. But one of my favorite things about talking about all these different topics that we've talked about for almost an hour, music, world, history, the whole thing, the school system, is that if you're just looking for the answers, I think that's great, right? It's when people get really bent out of shape that you present them something that they were unfamiliar with, and then they get taken back, like, oh, how dare you bring this up? And like, dude, I'm just asking questions, right? Straight out of Eddie Bravo's book. You know, these days he's just also, I feel like he's laying low and playing slow. Like, I'm just asking questions, you know? That's all I'm trying to do. The fact that you're going to get like if you try to do those man on the street videos, people will get in your face. They'll get aggressive. Like, okay, are you a paid, antagonist here? Like, what's going on? Propagandist or whatever? Or what is your intrinsic, what's the value here to you to just not have this conversation, not let other people, sometimes people are just having a conversation on their own, and then someone else will come in, these paid protesters, to break up the chat about whatever. So there's a lot of layers to it, whether people like to admit it or not. And I like asking the questions. I like just seeing, okay, how much can we read? How much can we watch to try to make sense of things that we thought were true that may not be true?
Yeah, and the reason, I think, to your point, I feel like a big reason why people get like triggered and upset is because from the time someone is young, if you already start telling them like America's evil, white people are evil, white people caused all the problems, white people are the only ones that ever had slaves, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is all you need to know about slavery. Don't worry about all these other, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about who else enslaved who and for how long and why it was longer and who actually stopped it and, what countries were involved, who owned the boats. We getting too deep. Who owned the boats?
Not who carried the boats, who owned the boats.
Like, yeah, like the Barbary slave trade, like when it starts, think about it. If from the time you're little, you're telling people Martin Luther King wrote that speech, you know what I'm saying? Rosa Parks this, or slavery that, or Holocaust this, or Earth is round, here's a globe, like whatever, you pick your poison, just fill in the blank with whatever quote unquote facts. Now, by the time someone is an adult, you've already had 30 years of indoctrination. We'll just call it that. And the minute someone tries to ask the questions or present the something like, well, have you done the math? Have you looked into it? Have you heard these other questions? Like, have you seen these other dots that won't connect, yet they just stick with this one number? And why is it? Or 9/11, that might be a safe one. I think the moon landing and 9/11 are some, like, people are a little bit primed to be like, okay, so who owned the towers? Who didn't show up that day to work? You know what I'm saying? Who happened to be like who took out the insurance policy? How much money was missing? Where's the footage to the plane? Where's the shrapnel and the footage of the plane that hit the Pentagon? Why did it strike that particular office? What documents were in there? Why were those passports found unscathed, unburned, undamaged? How many passports were found? What condition were they in? Where were they found? And it starts to trigger something, because it's like, hey, bro, that breaks my brain, because I was already believing like this. What's the allegory of the cave? Mm-hmm. It's like I'm in the cave and they're showing me these shadow puppets and they're telling me a thing. And the minute I want to peek out and see who's casting the shadow, it'll break your brain. So some of these questions are like difficult to even consider. It's, it's one of those, like, for example, simulation theory. Like, there's different ways to look into it. And when we were on this military trip, it was me and 3 other comedians, and you're in a van, you're on a bus, you're probably waiting at an airport terminal, or you're having breakfast, and things come up. Like, somebody might say something, and I'll throw in the, like, do we? Like, how do we know? It's like, oh, because shoes. Okay, so basically shoes, right? Or do you know what books Hitler was burning? You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, man, wait a minute.
At the very least, it's interesting, they're interesting topics, right? Whatever the answer is, if we actually got to like 100%, and I know a lot of people will say that for some of these things, we already have the 100% detailed truth about what happened or what the result was or whatever, I get you. But as you see that more comes out, like, there's stuff that changes all the time, whether it's like geologists discovering something or archaeologists discovering something or whatever. It's like, oh, we've added to the plate of knowledge, or so we think. We've added to the library of knowledge. We're just asking questions about it. That's all we're doing.
Hey, bro, have you heard of I think they called them like sky ships, like these big giant Zeppelin blimp things?
No.
Like, okay, I don't know if you've gone down that rabbit hole, but like,
No, but I feel like I'm gonna now.
yeah, I wish I knew more about it to give you exact dates and years, but it's like this old world theory where they'll tell us, like, hey, way back in the day, they had.
You mean the one, like the basically the first flying kind of planes, right? The flying things,
like blimps.
Yes, yeah. That was before. Okay, I got you. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called.
And yeah, I think they call them airships, sky ships, but they were more efficient. Basically, the theory is the technology was destroyed and the propaganda was set with a false flag. Like, they blew one up and burned it and made everyone think they were dangerous, but they were like very efficient, very comfortable. They had like outdoor patios. You could like chill outside. The amount of fuel. And so what happened was, the way they created the false flag is, instead of them operating with a certain type of gas, they switched it to this more flammable gas for this one particular like Titanic style explosion. And of course, all the media was ready, the perfect angle and everything to put it in the papers. But my point is, there's so many things that we're not allowed to question or explore or even know about. And that alone, because I got to talking about the like the 9/11 stuff, and like, I feel bad for people that have been that sheltered to where they don't have they didn't have the luck to be exposed to cool people. Yeah. You know what I mean? That look into shit, especially when you actually like some, obviously some of these people that are like little conspiracy theorists on TikTok, and they claim to do the research or whatever. Like, it could be a little bit of a scam, but it makes you wonder, where it's like, okay, you're telling me, like, what's up with Nikola Tesla? You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me that these, I guess our ancestors back in the day had these rudimentary tools, and there's no way they could have made these like palatial palaces and all this, and now all our buildings look like shit, like shitty ass architecture for the most part. And it makes you wonder, like, okay, why did y'all get rid of that? And once you start going down those rabbit holes and you start seeing these quote unquote facts, quote unquote evidence, or, I'm not saying it's all like there could be coincidences, right? Because like somebody might present evidence saying, why did every major city around the same time have a great fire? Like in Chicago, a cow tipped over a candle. The candle burned the barn. The barn burned down the city. But also in these other cities, they also all burned down. And then they find bits and pieces of old architecture like buried like behind or under, and like, why were the doors so big? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of interesting shit, but I just think it's interesting how like they try to play us, and I feel like the school system, this is how it goes full circle. The school system plays a major role in the media, and to like why are y'all so hell bent on like a huevo, you're fucking spinning. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the number, like, shut up, planes flew into the fucking buildings and the jet fuel made it implode on a molecular level to where, or even like the Maui fires. It's like, okay, there's a lot of theories, right? We haven't gotten enough answers. The Palisades fires, that's just probably a whole bunch of corruption. But it's like they constantly have to be pulling the wool on people.
This is what we need to have at the beginning of the show is like
Disclaimer.
a disclaimer. It's like like one of those like old school like the following program is for your entertainment purposes and pseudo educational purposes. Enter at your own risk kind of thing. Look into it because all we're saying is. Yeah. All we're saying is look into it, man. Because like I brought up the skyships thing, and I do remember now. Like that was the whole Zeppelin thing, right? Like that's where the name is, synonymous with these events prior to or around World War I. And yeah, man, there's a lot of interesting stuff. And when people get almost like shunned for asking questions, like there's something afoot essentially. Like you can't just always ignore new information or ignore the fact that old information might be wrong or misleading, or curated in a way to make you believe a certain thing. And here's another thing too, and this will be my last thing, and then you can end the show. I think that over the next couple of years, and this is by no means a political show by any means, but some of these characters that are out there talking about certain things going on in the world that are in the political sphere, they're doing it really willy-nilly, like whether it's Beto O'Rourke or whoever, and then you have people on, let's just say both sides. I feel like because the internet feels more free, I think these big tech companies are also kind of like they're not pulling on the reins so tightly because of the administration. So the ability to say a little bit more and kind of that leash has kind of been let out for the next couple of years, in my opinion, is a good time to have these conversations, bring these subjects to the light again, like prior to 2020, because it could change in the future. Like we could go back to where the Ministry of Truth and all these kind of initiatives start being, dispersed among the American people again. But right now, I think for a couple of years, we have a really good opportunity to open some eyes, open some minds.
Yeah. So like, for example, what you were saying about like censorship and these, big corporations or whatever, one of the things that interests me when it comes to this flat earth conversation is how like simultaneously when Google, because it should be okay to ask questions, right? It's like, it's like one half of the population could be snobby and be like, really you're asking that? And then the other half, it's like, okay, well, let one half ask the question. Like, why is it that Google made sure to get their YouTube algorithm in order or all around the same time that they started, like once they started like hiding people doing experiments, like people trying to do science, because you're supposed to be allowed to have a hypothesis, right? So people, at one point, it was a very popular topic on YouTube before Google came in and reorganized their thing to where now what it feeds you is going to be like the propaganda. So when I see them go out of their way, like if you connect the dots with like, okay, Jake Paul, he did a thing like disproving Mr. Beast, I believe, like all these people that are managed by the same, like if you connect the dots, they're all kind of like managed and controlled. Like the money, where does their money come from? Like where does Mr. Beast, before he started having all this money to do all these cool things, it's like people propped up, or they'll bring Bill Nye the Science Guy or Neil deGrasse Tyson on one of these Jimmy Fallons, and they'll be like, so you're a science guy, what is up with this flat earth thing? I'm hearing about that. Well, that was a disproven hypothesis, like Wikipedia. So basically when Wikipedia, Jimmy Kimmel Fallon, one of them, Neil deGrasse, Beast, Jake Paul, and the YouTube algorithm, and they start running Google commercials during like the Super Bowl, where it's like, Google, it's like a series of like, how do I tie a tie? Give me a banana baked bread recipe. Is the earth flat? And then they're like, we're Google. We're here to give you the answers you need. Like basically saying we fixed the algorithm to where go look now. You're not going to see all the science experiments and the people asking good questions. Now you're going to see like, oh, disclaimer, right? Remember all the disclaimers during COVID? It's an outdated hypothesis that has been disproven. Case closed. The buildings were hit by planes. Case closed. You know what I'm saying? Like Martin Luther King wrote his own speech or whatever. Like don't question it. it's taboo. Like you're hitting the third rail, and that to me is what really gets my juices flowing. Because it's like, okay, if it was really dumb and fake, you would just let it be dumb and fake. Like, do an experiment. We don't care. Let the person upload their questions and their data. Yeah, it's like, we don't have to pay Jake Paul or whoever else is like Disney and whoever else, Mr. Beast. I'll send you some stuff when we get off air. But I'll end it with this.
All right.
Let's just make an effort to not be so snobby about what we think we know. You know what I'm saying? Like if your kooky friend is presenting something or has a question about something, like, let's be mindful that like we're not being bots that have been indoctrinated to where we're going to be like, really, friend? You know, because think about it. How many people look at their Trump voting friends as like, bro, he's literally a felon. He's a total creep. He's Epstein's friend. He said grab him by the pee, and he even said nasty things about his daughter. Really? You know, he's literally kidnapping poor, hardworking Latinos from our communities. He's terrorizing La Raza. And it's like, you obviously haven't zoomed out and tuned out from certain things to even fathom why a respectable human being would consider voting for pinche Satanas, you know, the devil himself. So that right there is like a microcosm of like everybody relax, don't be so fucking close-minded, and let's just entertain for a second.
Dude, that's such a great way to end it. Look, by the time this drops on, it's going to be, we're going to come up with a name. You're going to come up with a name. I don't know, but this is a great first start to this, whatever this new endeavor is. And dude, we're going to sprinkle everything. Old stories, road stories, rap stories, comedy stories, current events.
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories, dude. People call them conspiracy theories, but it just might be historical, forgotten information. It doesn't have to necessarily be a conspiracy, but that is what people call it. All kinds of stuff, man. I think that's a great way to go out. And shows, or chingobling.com for all the show dates.
Yeah, absolutely. We have in September, we have a Covina, downtown LA, Oxnard, Ontario, Austin, Texas, Portland, Tacoma, September 5th and 6th. Hit up the website, chingobling.com, and I am headed to jiu-jitsu to get beat up.
All right, don't hang up yet. Hold on. All right, see everybody next week.
Peace.